that resolution has to come through us saying, okay, well, I'm going to create a new habit and let go of this old habit, because apparently this old habit is keeping me bound in this situation here. And in order for me to overcome this situation, I've got to do this and this and this, and I've got to create a new habit to overcome it. Hooey, there's a mouthful in it. Phew. Have and enjoy life now. We always think we will enjoy life when our breakthrough comes. If only God will give me the financial stability that I need, and I can be happy. I can relax a little bit. I can take a breath and breathe and say, "Phew, everything is going to be okay." But what about enjoying the trip, the time waiting, the journey? I certainly did not mean to sound negative, but when the breakthrough comes, and you and I have been waiting for finally comes, it won't be long, we will be faced with yet another problem, another challenge. If we wait to enjoy life until we have no problems, we really won't have much enjoyment, will we? I know this sounds simple, stupid. But let God take care of your problems now. Cast your care upon Him. And do what He instructed you to do. It almost sounds too good to be true, right? Well, doesn't it? I mean, you can actually enjoy life while God handles your problems. Job 5:19 through 22 says, He, God, will rescue you in 6 troubles. In 7, nothing that is evil for you will touch you. In famine, He will redeem you from death, and in war, from the power of the sword. You shall be hidden from the scourge of the tongue. Neither shall you be afraid of destruction when it comes. At destruction and famine you shall laugh. Neither shall you be afraid of the living creatures on the earth. There are some really awesome scriptures in the Bible about the value of laughter, which is an expression of joy. In Job 5:19 through 22 that I read is one of my favorite passages about this subject. In verse 22, we are told that we will laugh at destruction and famine, which is what God would do in a similar situation as we see in Psalms 2, 2 through 4, which speaks of how He handles His enemies. The kings of the earth shall take their places. The rulers take counsel together against the Lord and His anointed one, the Messiah, the Christ. Now this is Psalms. They say, let us break their bands of restraint asunder and cast their cords of control from us. He who sits in the heavens laughs. The Lord has them in derision and in supreme contempt. He mocks them. When God's enemies gather together against Him, He sits in the heavens and laughs, because He is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, Revelation 1:8. So He also knows how things are going to turn out. since he is the beginning and the end. He must also be everything in between, is my point today. If we are being led by God's Spirit, we can laugh also during those times of troubles. We laugh the laugh of faith as Abraham did. God told him he would do the impossible for him, that even though he was too old to have children in the natural, he would give him one anyway. Abraham laughed. Genesis 17:17. His miracle did not occur immediately. Years passed before Abraham saw the fulfillment of God's promise. But I do not think it was the last time Abraham laughed. I am sure many times he thought about what God had told him, and as he looked forward to the day he saw in his heart, he laughed. He spent too much time. Now think about this. Do you think Abraham laughed out of, oh, hey, this ain't never going to happen? Do you think he laughed out of doubt? I don't. I think he laughed because of the joy that he felt that God was going to fulfill the promise. He laughed because he was finally going to have a child with his beloved. He laughed because God made a promise to him, and he laughed out of joy, out of contentment. We spend too much time in our thoughts looking at what is taking place now instead of looking at the finish line. Think of all the other things that God has done for you in the past, brothers and sisters. We had to wait for them also, correct? He is faithful. He will do what he has promised. You may have to wait for a season, but if you decide to enjoy the trip, it will not seem nearly as long or difficult. You may be familiar with the old saying, a watched pot never boils. When you stand and stare at a pot of water, it seems to take forever to come to a boiling point. But if you go about your business and do other things, keeping your mind off the waters, it seems to take only a few seconds, doesn't it? Watching your problem is like watching a pot of water. If you want to do your part, get your mind off the problem. It will be resolved a lot faster, and you'll be able to say, that was easy. I enjoyed the journey. Proverbs 17:22. A happy heart is a good medicine, and a cheerful mind works healing, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. Ooh-wee. Laughter not only makes the journey endurable and even enjoyable, it also helps keep us healthy. Worry and anxiety cause stress, which eats away at our health. The root cause of many sicknesses and diseases is stress. Laughter relieves stress. It alters the body chemistry. I once read a story of a man who was dying. The doctor said there was nothing that they could do. He and his family rented all the funny movies that they could find. went and rented all the funny movies that they could find. And he lay in his bed day after day, laughing and laughing. And guess what? He was completely cured. I once heard someone say that laughter is like internal jogging. It certainly improves our emotional and mental health. And according to the scriptures, it has the capability of doing much more. You may be thinking, well, Bruce, I really don't have anything to laugh about. Well, many times I don't either. But I have learned to find something. We need to laugh every day as much as possible. I've changed a lot in this area recently. A few years ago, I probably passed up many opportunities to laugh. I was too busy being serious and intense. Now when the opportunity comes my way, I enter in and get the most out of it. I figure I may as well laugh when I have the opportunity, because I don't know how long it will be before I get another opportunity. I know I need to laugh, and so do you. Laughter and a happy heart must be cultivated. Jesus talked about joy and fullness of joy. I want all I can have of both. But it takes a conscious effort to keep our hearts merry. Satan is always willing to steal and block our joy. And he will do so if we allow it. Laughter and smiling are outward evidences of inward joy. I often say some people who are saved need to notify their faces. Some Christians are what I call sour-faced. They look as though they were baptized in lemon juice or vinegar. The world cannot see our heart. They need expression. Our general attitude must be pleasant, abundant with smiles. And if the season is right, we should laugh whenever possible. There are times that it would be totally inappropriate to laugh. Never enjoy yourselves at someone else's expense. Never make fun of another person's flaws. There is a difference between having an anointed good time and engaging in coarse jesting. Never be rude at another person's expense. One time, my wife and I, Audrey, took our son to a movie. During the show, my son said something that struck me funny. I started laughing and trying not to because I did not want to make a scene. All that made me laugh harder. But I was doing it silently. I laughed so hard that tears were running down my face. Audrey was laughing at me laughing. And it was starting to get a little out of hand. Audrey said, "We better be quiet. We're disturbing other people." And guess what? She was